Hey guys, it's me, Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. How are you doing today? Today we're going to talk about our favorite subject, which is sales. All right, we got a cool little subject for ourselves today, so let's go ahead and dive right on into it. What is our cool subject for today? Let's see here. Selling. What do you do in your first year of selling? What do you do? Okay. I'm going to tell you what, guys, I've been in sales since the 80s, and I've seen it all, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the warts and all. And I've been able, over my lifetime of career, to be able to work with some really great companies. And some of the companies that I work with, they had good training. They also, I worked with a company when I was first starting in selling back in the early 80s, mid 80s, and I was working with a company called the Tampa Tribune, and we had a great manager. His name was Dwayne Dabrowski, great guy. He would invite us over to have some training at least a couple of times a week. He asked if we wanted to be successful, and if we did, would we be willing to come over and listen to these cassette tapes back then and take notes and follow some good orderly instruction and be able to use the information that we would had acquired and put it into our selling presentations. And I'm one of these kind of people. There was a couple of two or three of us that really took heart to that information that was given to us. We had Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy, and Zig Ziglar, and probably some other ones. But those are the ones that really hit me right between the eyes because I was a salesperson. I was a door-to-door salesperson. I sold newspaper services, and it was very lucrative. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a lot of work. It was hard work. But we used to work in the evening times. I'd work probably maybe 30 hours a week, if that much. But it was so much fun. A lot of camaraderie. We'd get picked up in a big old bus, and it was like a big old orange van, and we'd go out and we'd knock on doors selling our services. We also had the capability to give away prizes, so we learned a lot of stuff on the move. And when you are dealing with this type of sales that we were into, it was like quick sales, not these kind of sales that take hours or weeks or days. It took less than probably 20 minutes, if that. And a lot of times you can even do it even quicker because we were selling, like I said, newspaper services, and we were able to help people get those services, and it made a lot of money for me. I made a lot of money off of it. It was my first selling experience. I got a chance to work with advertising, and I got to work with a great newspaper at the time, the Tampa Tribune. Got to work with some great guys and gals that were on our team, and I just really, really enjoyed it. It was like hardcore. But the training that I got within that first year made all the difference in the world. Because, like, when I first came on board, we had very minimal training. It was like you go with the other salesperson, you go knock on the door, you tell them about your services. But see, what happened is when I first came on board, I told everybody I was going to be number one. I don't always know if that's a great thing to do, but I did, and I ended up being that. And I'm just saying because I got a chance. Like I said, it was probably like about 4, 5, 6 months later after I've been selling, and I was doing pretty good, and we were doing all right, making money and everything. And the next thing I know, with Dwayne Dabrowski and asking us would we like to go ahead and learn about how to sell better and sell more, and what to do. And so we were like, okay. Then we were gung ho, so we went over to the house and we started learning this stuff. And it talks a lot about, your mindset and how you think about closing and selling and so forth. But it also talked about actual closes, asking for the order, looking the customers in the eyes, treating people with respect, and just a lot of great information on how to have a selling conversation. So what I'm sharing with you is, guys, when you're first getting into sales, or maybe you're transitioning into a new product, or maybe you're transitioning to a new company, your first 90 days is really, really important. Your first year is probably the most important time because, see, what happens is in your first 90 days, they give you a little bit of a paycheck sometimes. Most of the times you work straight on commission. You may get lucky where they'll give you a couple of dollars just to get you through, to help you to get to the next level for a little while until you get your feet wet. But in reality, selling in your first 90 days means You need to reach in your heart, and you need to focus on this opportunity. You need to focus on your career and where you want to be, not only now, but within the next year, within the next few years. And I had to learn this stuff the hard way. So all of this stuff that I'm teaching you is stuff that I've learned based on my personal experience, because I'm a real salesperson. My name is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. And in this regard, guys, give me a thumbs up and share this information. Go ahead and subscribe, because, the more people that subscribe give the opportunity for the algorithms to help other people see these videos. And I've got literally hundreds and hundreds if you're learning to be a salesperson and want to know what it's like. The key to success in this regard, when we started learning the training, especially when you start getting a new job, be open to good advice. You also want to practice the information that is given to you. And that means you want to have maybe a significant other, your friends, do role plays, talk about these things that you're going to be getting into, these different scenarios. So when you actually start answering the phone or calling people over the phone, you've already had that experience of having that time. And most companies will give you a little bit of a breathing room within the first, I guess, couple, 2 or 3 weeks, and then they expect you to go out there and start selling. So you really need to take it really, really seriously. So when you're over the phone, you need to have conversations. If you're out in the field going business to business or door to door, your best time is to practice, with each other. If you're in a classroom setting, sometimes with COVID and all that crap, you can't really do that. So you have to maybe practice with yourself how you're going to have a conversation. And also, you want to watch good videos after you start get training to get continuously trained, because your company is going to give you the basics and the fundamentals. They're going to show you their product. They're going to teach you some basics and fundamentals about the product. So when you're out there, you're at least able to have an okay conversation at first, so that way you can start making some money. And it takes a little bit of time. I'm sure going to say this: within the first 90 days, you should start wrapping your mind around, the product itself. If you give yourself 6 months to a year, you're really going to be able to see yourself develop into a great salesperson. But it takes at least that long for your mind to be able to learn the fundamentals. Now, remember, whoever you hang around with, also in the mentors that you have, are also going to help predestine your future. If you hang around with knuckleheads and people who go out partying and play and all that within the first 90 days, and a little bit of play is okay, but you need to get focused. You need to start. You need to get your pad and pen. You need to start writing down information and regurgitating that. It means give it out. Share that information with your family, friends, and you need to be able to practice, practice, practice. Now, practice doesn't mean perfect. Good practice means perfect, and at least it makes it better when you're trying to sell something. My name is Gary Lee Stanley. I am your sales guy, your real estate sales guy, and I've been in sales a long time. So I've been able, like I said, to be able to practice a lot of these things that I talk about. Matter of fact, I practice them all the time. I'm always practicing, having conversations with customers. So when you first get started with your company, you need to ask and look around and see who's the top dog, the top person who's selling a lot of stuff. And maybe you want to maybe have a conversation. Could you please help me? And a lot of times good mentors, they'll help you. They'll walk you through some processes, but they want to see you, some people, they don't want to tell you all their magic, so they may not even want to talk to you. But if you give them the time of day, maybe ask them to go to lunch, buy them lunch, take them out somewhere, help them, get them something and say, hey, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time. Can you give me some good advice on what I need to do to get started to make sure that I'm on the right path? And believe it or not, people, they take that, they'll love that. They'll appreciate it, but you got to listen. And when you go to talk to them, take a piece of paper and a pen and ask, or even ask, can I record you? Can we have a presentation? Can you give me a presentation of how you normally do? Or maybe even ask, well, what are your goals? How do you set up your daily plans to be able to get out there and sell stuff? What do you do? Like I said, guys, the first 90 days, It's like the learning. That first 6 months, it's like now you're out there knocking on doors, you're picking up that heavy phone, you're putting yourself in situations where, it's a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more people you share with your information to, the more people are going to be able to buy from you. And you got to learn how to close, you got to learn how to ask for the order, and you've got to learn basic techniques on how to have conversations. And you also need to remember, you need to learn how to do referrals and get referrals. You need to learn how to talk over the phone. You need to learn how to have conversations with people and not treat people disrespectfully or browbeat them. Because see, customers, they're savvy. They'll look you up on on Google. They'll Google you and figure out who you are in no time at all. So if you are hiding stuff and you've been doing some unscrupulous stuff out there, believe it or not, they can find out. So your whole goal when you first start in your first year is to learn about who you are with the company. You're learning about the product. You're actually, I hate to say it like this, but you're going to brown nose those people who already know what they're doing. Because see, paperwork, it is a pain in the hiney when you first start, especially if you're not a paperwork kind of person. I'm a salesman. I can't stand to do paperwork. But you know what? You have to learn that. And you also got to be very humble. You got to ask for people to help you. And some people, maybe treat you a little, off, trying to keep you cold. What do you mean? You don't know how to do this? And see, here's the thing. You don't know how to do a lot of this stuff. Unless you go from transition from one product to another and it's in the same company. But in reality, if you go to another company, you're going to learn a whole lot of new culture. You're going to learn a whole lot of new information. You're going to learn how they do it their way. So what you have to do is you have to acclimate yourself into their process. You got to learn to get along, and you got to humble yourself. And sometimes that's the hardest part for us salespeople, because we're tough. We're energetic, or maybe we think, maybe we know a little bit more than other people do. But when you start a new product, a lot of times you don't know. And if you got paperwork and people that are above you, that are pressuring you to get things done, and they want you to sell, that's what we're good at. But there are a lot of things behind the scenes, like getting your paperwork done, setting your routes, setting your daily accounts, how to go out and talk to people, how to set appointments, how to be able to just do a lot of things that when you first get the job, you're excited. Oh boy, you're going through training and they throw you to the wolves and you're like, oh crap, I wished I would have been listening. So day one, get your piece of paper out. And if they give you the capability, record the presentations and study your butt off, guys. Because some companies will give you, and most do give you, a test so that way you can learn and be able to have the selling process under your belt. Because see, what happens is within that first year, they do expect you to get your numbers. Now in the first 90 days, the first 6 months, unless it's like real hardcore selling and stuff, they may give you a little bit of leeway. But I've been in sales long enough to tell you right now, there ain't much leeway.